Yo, what is good, y'all? I'm bringing y'all something a little bit different, and today we're going to be talking about how to survive in the Gears of War multiplayer, and then we're going to bring y'all some tips and tricks from a veteran player here. I've been playing since the 360 days, and I've kept up with it for all of these years, so hopefully to the new players out there who've never been able to experience Gears of War before, welcome to the Gears of War world. We're really excited to have you experience the story and experience for the first time. And let's go ahead and get right into it here. Alright, so if y'all not aware of what I do, I play a lot of Tekken here, and in that game you could replay the fights that you did and you could study them, what we call labbing, and you could just prepare yourself for the next encounter so you can find yourself more successful for the next time, right? So the reason why I like to do this because I feel like I could apply a lot of these fundamentals here in this game, surprisingly enough, excuse me. And a lot of that is for the reason being is the fact that enemies in this game, they're more of an encounter in this game, right? Because of the fact that these enemies have more chunkier health and you have a little bit more time to actually fight these encounters here, a lot of the times you're going to be able to get the first shot on your opponent and you'll still wind up unsuccessful in this game. You'll still wind up getting down first, and you might be wondering like how I don't understand. I feel like I put so many shots into him, into a Lancer, into the shotgun, into the pistol, he's just not down, and it felt like he just slid all over the place and got me down in one shot. One, that is because of the fact that there is an issue with the Nashers right now. I believe there is an issue that needs to be fixed. There's a lot of suspicious one-shot downs, even when they're not in active reload. I think that's a little bit crazy, right? But getting back to the main point, enemies have chunkier health. So what does that mean? If you ever played games like Battlefield, or excuse me, wow, no, I was going to use that as a different example. If you play games like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals or anything like that, or some battle royales where enemies have a little bit more of chunkier health, you'll start to realize, especially with a lot of those characters in this game, that you have to approach them a little bit differently. It's not as simple as Battlefield or Call of Duty where you just go ahead, you see the first person, you start shooting, and then you get them down. It's not as simple as that, right? So think about that in a situation where every enemy is an encounter. What weapon is he using currently right now? What does he have equipped? What do you think he's going to use? Does he have a shotgun equipped? Does he have a power weapon equipped? What range is he at? What obstacles are in front of you that you could use to your advantage? And I'm not just talking about wall bouncing either, right? So there's a lot of mind games and theories that get into approaching how to get your opponent down, right? So one of the bigger questions obviously is I would imagine this is the reason why you came to this video, is how do you get better in Gears, right? How do you get better in Gears, right? So there's a difference in here. So I like to think that good players, you're going to see a lot of good players using Nashers and putting in a lot of work into the game. But I think great players will use all of their tools, right? So a great player will have a Lancer equipped sometimes, and then you'll see them with the Snub Pistol, and then you'll even see them utilize use of a smoke grenade, surprising enough. Like, smoke grenades are useful in this game, and don't be afraid to use them, right? So just think about all the tools you have, right? And make sure you use them at your disposal there, right? So now getting to the actual fun part of the video, let's break down how we make a comeback from only having 3 lives and the Locusts still have their full set of life lead and the 3 extra lives they have to take from if they do die, right? So how do we make this comeback? What's my theory behind this, and how do we become successful here, right? So I'm gonna try to go ahead and pause it, do slow-mo and everything like that in here. So let's go ahead and pause right here, right? So first up, let's talk about what I grabbed. It's a sniper, right? Power weapons in this game serve a really big purpose if you haven't found out by now, right? So if you're familiar with other games like Halo, power weapons were scattered in the map. And the thing about in this game too is some of the power weapons, you got to be a little bit, you got to have some finesse with the power weapon too. So I don't feel that 100% confident in my sniper shots, but what I'm leading into is that don't be afraid to pick up that power weapon. Just because you're afraid that, I don't know, I'm not that good in it, just take it, and you'll be surprised what you may be able to do with that weapon, right? So don't be afraid. The biggest thing is you don't want it to be laying around on the ground and have the other enemy take it, right? That's the biggest thing there. And at this point too, another thing I want to talk about is use your TACCOM. If you're not aware of what the TACCOM is, it will tell you where your friendlies are. It will also highlight in the map which power weapons are available. So that is a big eye-opener because your enemies will be using that, and you don't want your enemies to take advantage on that and take the power weapons before you even know that they're out, right? So just keep that in mind there. So getting into the main part of this video here, now that I have the sniper rifle and there's still a life lead on the Locust team, how do we go ahead and approach this situation? So at this point, I understand that my life is it's not expendable right now. If I die, it's pretty much over. I'm not saying my team won't be able to pull through, but with me having the power weapon, there is a little bit of a risk out there. If someone comes up close to me and gets me with a shotgun and I just happen to have the sniper rifle out, now they have a sniper, right? So just keep that in mind there. So in this case, using our TACCOM, in this case, you could use your TACCOM in this situation here. I notice we have a friendly on the left side here. I understand that I have another friendly kind of behind me over to my right side as well. So in this case, if I'm over here and I know where my friendlies are at, you're going to be able to understand where your enemies might be coming from. And also just keep in mind too, when the respawns have flipped, you don't want them flipping on you without you realizing and they come from behind you, right? So in this case over here with this nice bird's eye view, I have a feeling going to start coming in from the right side, right? There's a staircase there. It's the most direct way into the middle area. And this is what I like to call looking ahead of the curve. It's actually I think it's a big racing terminology, right? So do you always want to stay ahead of the curve? And basically positioning in this game is key. When you start to look ahead of the curve and you start to place yourself in positions where you want to be at, and in positions where you know your enemy is going to wind up being, that will make it a lot easier for you to line up your shots, even in the most hectic close quarters battle. If you could just predict the trajectory of where your opponent's going to be, you can manipulate yourself around that trajectory, because that's what it kind of really is. It's like, I don't know, this feels like a weird example, but it feels like playing basketball, right? So getting in there now, understanding where we have a good gauge of where our enemies are at. You see me, I pop up the TACCOM to see where my friendlies are at, right? I saw enemy on the right side there. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of make sure no one's coming in from behind. And now here is a really interesting here, and then eventually this will go ahead. This is another issue with the Nashers, right? So in this case, my friendly got down really fast, and all I heard was Nashers. So at that point, that puts me in more of a panic mode, and now I have to try to cover him. More than likely, I'm not going to be able to revive him. I'm going to put myself in a really bad position if I go down there. My goal right now is to observe and see what's going to happen next, because there's an enemy down, not dead, but my friendly is also down. And are they going to use him as bait? You got to think about that stuff, right? They go ahead, knock him down. Go ahead and get him down, and now at that point, I understand that he just saw something very traumatic on his left side, and he's probably going to go ahead and try to flank me on the other side on this left side here. So I'm going to go ahead and peek a little bit, make sure that he's actually not going to try to push in the middle. Sure enough, he's pushing left side. And this is another issue here. Again, this is another issue with the Nashers. This is a good example I get to show you guys here. So I'm going to go ahead and slow motion, rewind that. He, assumingly so, is at full health. I don't even have an active reload. So why is it that from here, I get a completely one shot down right here? He's down in one shot. But then when I get even closer to him, he doesn't die. I don't get that. I don't get that. And I just want y'all to know that y'all are heard. This is an issue, and hopefully this is fixed. So now at this point, my teammate has a Hammer of Dawn. He's gonna cover this middle side. So at this point right here, I'm gonna go ahead and try to set myself up to be on the left side to catch where he's gonna try to run into, right? Sure enough, now I missed the sniper shot. So what do I do here? Immediately understanding that I missed my shot, he has a shotgun out. My chances of dying are very high right now. And if you are getting into wall bouncing mechanics, start wall bouncing just to get yourself out of situations. Don't worry about wall bouncing into doing something flashy, into getting that pop shot. No, just use it to get yourself out of situations like you would in the campaign, right? So in this case, I use it to get out of the way from him. That works out, but then immediately, boom, I come right back in there and finish the job, right? And why did that work out, right? Why did we do that there specifically? So again, this is just, again, mind games. This is just mind games. This is when this whole game gets fun, man. I feel like this game really thrives on that. So when I missed my shot and I started running away, that kind of put him into a position where I am not a priority right now because I have my teammate there. I wasn't going to use him as bait. That's not what I was doing here at all, because as you can see here, I immediately do the switchback And what his issue was is he did not prioritize me, right? He kind of went and kind of just dropped whatever he was doing with me and started focusing on the other enemy there, right? So in this case, we used our wall bounce mechanic to go ahead and get to that cover first, then get out of cover and get that strafe in there. So if y'all need to see that again in one smooth motion, wall bounce, back in there, boom. And when you start playing these mind games in your opponents, you actually, there's like a weird mental stack in there that starts to happen in there, right? So for one, you get more confident in how you get to play, and confidence goes a very long way in this game. And also too, people will start to be even more careful how they approach, and it could actually make them choke in a lot of crucial situations here, right? So let's go on and move to the next clip here. All right, so this is another one that I actually really like. This is one of my favorite clips I was able to do here. So it was a 2v1 that turned into a 2v2, back into a 2v1, and then back into a 1v1. And then you had this crazy merry-go-round situation here. And, you know, as far as how we deal with that, go ahead and we'll let the video play out. We winded up becoming successful there. So let's break down. This will probably be the last clip I break down here, right? So what do we do here first? We realize that our teammate is on this left side here. He's gonna try to get chased by this locust that's directly in front of me, right? But because the locust sees that I'm approaching him, he's gonna switch targets back to me. So now at this point, it turns into a 2v1 for him. Very bad situation. But as you can see, very slowly, his teammate all of a sudden comes out of nowhere behind the van, and understandably so, without even anticipating that, he gets down. And then what is very interesting about this is that him noticing that he is by himself and that his teammate is closer to him, they grew up together and they get my teammate down, right? So this is a great example of enemy prioritization. Enemy prioritization is very important in this game. And what I do here is I had to make sure I prioritize the target that I was still focused on earlier. Do not panic that another target just came up, because that target more than likely has more health. And they're pushing on purpose because they know that you've been flustered with the battle that you've already in, and likely you have less health than them. So don't panic and focus on that enemy that you were originally focusing on, because what happens here is now I get him down, and then this turns into another interesting situation here, right? So now we have me and my teammates down, his teammates down, we're both alive. My goal for me is I need to get that enemy dead. I need to kill him for sure so he doesn't get revived, right? And then funnily enough, that was the same idea for him. So we're on the same level right now, the same level playing as far as how to approach each other. So this is a little bit concerning. So at this point there, it looks like he took some damage. He tried to get the jump on me, but he backs away. And then we get into this crazy merry-go-round situation here. So at this point, this is a very closed-in match. If you're in this map, this is a very closed-in map. It's very tiny, and enemies will spawn, and like in seconds they'll be right back in your face. So understanding that, we are not going to let him play the waiting game. We're not going to let him play his game. And the thing about, if you become aggressive in this game in a good way, you start to control the encounter. And what happens is you start to put your opponent in a position where they just have to react. They just have to react, right? And with that being said, if you look here, and we'll go ahead and do that in slow motion there, right? And nothing fancy, nothing complicated. He's standing behind the van here, so he's gonna see me go ahead into the cover, and then he's gonna see me go ahead and start to push that corner. So obviously, as you can see here, I'm already like halfway through the van. But what I'm really doing in reality on my controller is I'm running to the right. So because I'm running to the right, that immediately is gonna right into that little door there. And then sure enough, when I turned around, that actually proved my prediction right. He was gonna just react and try to get the jump on me with the shotgun as soon as he get out of cover, but because of the fact that I went ahead and got the jump on him instead, he had to react to like, oh shoot, I had to, and then blown to bits, right? So with that being said, you know, this game is really fun, man. This game is really fun when you start to like just get into it and really start to understand the mechanics of the game. I know a lot of people complain about this style of gameplay, but just don't listen to them, man. Like, you know, like for me, I did not do this in the beginning. I did not play like this in the beginning because I would hope that I could really relate to you guys that I did not play the multiplayer like I played the story and vice versa, right? And when I did start to get ahead of the curve and start to understand that, I swear, man, multiplayer got 10 times more fun. 10 times more fun, man. And I hope that happens for you as well. So, but other than that, y'all take care. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.